Apparently, the things we lived and experiences we had are not normal. We're moving tomorrow, my brother and I, but not to a new house with our parents like we had thought. The truth is, we're being sent to a foster home. Though our parents haven't told us directly, we've overheard the phone call with CPS. That's when we found out we were being taken away, even if no one had the guts to say it to our face. My parents had been addicts for as long as I can remember, always disappearing into their rooms with needles, bottles, and glass pipes, leaving us alone for hours, sometimes for days. My brother and I learned to take care of ourselves, though. We had no choice. We would cook, we would bathe ourselves, we would walk to school, even though it's 3 miles to get there. Eventually, social workers were alerted by the school and investigated. They got in contact with my parents on some issues, and I guess they had a disagreement or something. Today, the house feels different. My parents are usually quiet, withdrawing into themselves, but now they're sitting in the living room, speaking in hushed voices. There's something off about it. I can sense it. Something's not quite right. My brother Jack peeks around the corner, curiosity getting the better of him. They've been quiet for too long. Something's about to go down. I can feel it, he whispers, glancing back at me. We don't have to wait long before there's a knock on the door. Firm and loud, echoing through the house. Mom jumps in her seat, her eyes wild and glassy, while Dad's hand tightens on the armrest of the couch, making the torn leather creak. It's them, he mutters. I pull Jack back into the hallway just out of sight. My heart is hammering in my chest now. The door opens, revealing a CPS worker, a woman with a clipboard clutched in one hand. She looks serious, like someone who's done this many times before. Behind her, 2 police officers stand, tall and imposing, one to the right and one to the left. The tension seems to ratchet up tenfold. Mr. and Mrs. Hughes, the social worker says, her voice is calm but authoritative. We've come for the children, as discussed. You've been given too many opportunities, and now the decision has been made in their best interest. For a split second, the room is deadly silent. My father's gaze flicks to my mother, whose face twists into something unnatural, a blend of anger and fear. Dad's fingers twitch, curling into fists. He speaks low like a growl. No. No one's taking my kids. Not today. Not ever. The social worker just sighs, clearly having dealt with defiance before. We've been over this. You've had your chance to comply. This is out of your hands now. We're here to escort them to safety. Jack and I freeze, peering around the corner just enough to see what happens next. I can feel the panic setting in. The CPS officers and the police are here to help us, I know. I also know my parents. They won't let us go without a fight. Dad stands up slowly, his face twisting in fury. You think you can just walk in here and take my kids? My children? They're mine. That's my money you're messing with. The police step forward, hands hovering near their holsters. Sir, we don't want any trouble. Just let the boys come with us and no one gets hurt. Time seemed to slow down. I see it, the flicker in my father's eyes, the way his jaw clenches, his body coiling like a spring ready to snap. In an instant, he's moving. He grabs the baseball bat, leaning against the wall, swinging it with all his might. The sickening crack of wood against bone fills the room. The police officer on the left doesn't have time to react. He's crumpled to the floor in a pool of blood in a fraction of a second. I gasp, clapping my hand to my mouth as Jack pulls me back into the shadows. My whole body is shaking. My breath is caught in my throat. Oh God, this whole thing is crazy. The other police officer shouts, trying to pull out his gun. Drop the bat now! But my dad is lost to the rage. Swinging again before the officer can react, the bat crashes into his skull and blood sprays across the living room as the officer falls to the ground. The CPS officer has no time to react before my mother lunges at her with a knife. The blade sinks deep into her chest and her body jerks in shock. Her eyes wide with horror before she slumps against the wall, and my mother keeps stabbing her in anger over and over again, until all that's left is a mess of meat and blood. My father goes to her and pulls her off. That's it. It's done, he says. Mom is hyperventilating, and then she starts kicking the body of the lady. She's lost it. They both have, I think. The sound of static and a faint voice saying, multiple officers down, requesting backup. I repeat, requesting immediate backup. The sound is cut off by my father and his bat. That one must not have been down completely, he says. I can't hold it anymore. A whimper escapes my throat. My father's head snaps in our direction. Run! Jack hisses, pulling me down the hall. My feet stumble over themselves as we dash into our bedroom, slamming the door behind us. We shove the dresser in front of the door, the wood scraping loudly against the floor. From the other side, I hear my father's heavy footsteps. The bat drags along the floorboard, a horrifying sound that sets chills down the back of my neck. They think they can take you away from us, he says, his voice eerily calm now. But you're ours. You'll always be ours. The door rattles as he pounds against it, and loud the frame shakes. Jack grabbed my arm, his face pale. We have to get out of here. He's gonna kill us. I know. My voice cracks as I say it. I know he's right, but there's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. I know this is all your fault. What did you tell him? All those nosy busybodies at the school, they always want something. Now look at what you made me do. The pounding gets louder. My father is screaming now, banging the bat against the door. The wood is splintering. I back away, pressing myself against the back wall, trembling. I can hear my mother's laughter and crying from the living room. A sick, maniacal sound is terrifying to hear. She's lost it too. The boat have. The dresser is no match for the force behind the door. It shifts. I scream as the bat smashes through the wood, the jagged pieces flying everywhere. Dad's hand appears through the hole he's made, twisting the knob from the inside. The door swings open, and there he is, wild-eyed, bat in hand, blood splattered across his face. He steps into the room, his breath ragged, and raises the bat above his head. Jack pushes me out of the way, my body hurting as I land on my tailbone. When I look up, Jack was slumped on the ground, blood all around him. He's gone now, too. His last act was to try and save me. My money. If they take you, they take my money, my dad said, and he raises the bat. Well, if I can't have you, neither can they. I can hear sirens getting closer. They won't reach me in time.